Donald Trump just got some really, really bad news, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I was actually trying to search on the Associated Press's website for an article from a few days ago, and I clicked on the breaking news. I'm like a little bit giddy about the story. A federal trade court just blocked Trump from imposing his sweeping tariffs under the emergency powers law. It's 4:45 p.m. Pacific time on May 28th, and this article was published 20 minutes ago by Lindsay Whitehurst of the Associated Press. Basically, Trump just got smacked down really hard on all of his tariffs. It's like I said, he tries to do things that are not legal, and we need to be really careful that we are not giving him power that he does not have. Just because he signs some executive order that one of his cronies wrote, or some Project 2025 dude wrote, or ChatGPT wrote, that doesn't mean that it's legal. It doesn't mean he gets to do that thing. An executive order is not a law. A decree that he barfs up on Truth Social, not the law, y'all. He is trying to do all kinds of illegal shit. His, modus operandi is basically like, try and stop me. And the courts consistently are saying, nope, this thing you're doing is illegal. Nope, the courts are holding in so many important ways right now. And this is a really big one, because we all know that his chaotic usage of tariffs, slapping them on, pulling them back, slapping them on again, up and down with the amounts, that's supposed to make your head spin. It's supposed to make the economy become destabilized. It's absolutely something that a narcissist does when he tries to control you. He tries to make you feel unmoored. That's what Trump is trying to do with the economy. He's trying to do it to our whole nation. He's trying to do it to the global economy and our trading partners. And today, Wednesday, May 28th, good news, a federal trade court said absolutely not. They blocked Donald Trump from imposing sweeping tariffs on imports under the emergency powers law. Just because he's citing a law, y'all, doesn't mean he has the legal authority to use it. It doesn't mean he is appropriately applying that law. The ruling from a 3-judge panel at the New York-based Court of International Trade came after several lawsuits arguing Trump has exceeded his authority, left U.S. trade policy dependent on his whims, and unleashed economic chaos. At least 7 lawsuits are challenging the levies, the centerpiece of Trump's trade policy. He's going to be real not cheesed, y'all, when he hears about this ruling. Again, the centerpiece of his trade policy, of his retribution seeking, of his chaotic control, of his grift. And the courts are saying, you don't get to do this. As I have said from the day he announced his tariff plan, or the first iteration of it, because again, the constant need to change it, the keeping you on your toes, the making your head spin with all of the roll it out, pull it back, all of the alterations, the changing amounts, that is on purpose. That chaos is intentional. But as I said, since he first announced the first iteration of his tariffs, the president cannot just slap tariffs on other countries. Tariffs are something that are rolled out and approved by Congress. But Trump tried to claim that he has the power to act on his own unilaterally because the country's trade deficits amount to a national emergency. He and his band of wholly unqualified lawyers have used all kinds of excuses, very flimsy or non-existent legal claims, in order to try to justify his extreme authoritarian overreach, the way he is skirting the law and stealing power from the legislative branch. At one point, Trump had slapped tariffs on almost every country in the world. Let's not forget he tried to put tariffs on uninhabited islands. I mean, way to appeal to his grandiose sense of self-importance, to be like, haha, I can absolutely fuck over the entire global economy. I can destroy millions of Americans' retirement accounts. All because I feel like it. All because I'm mad about what happened in 2020. All because I want to game the market and help. Whatever it is that's his motivation, I imagine he really revels in that sense of power. Watching Republicans in Congress freely give up their checks and balances, freely give up their power as Congress, and allow Donald Trump to do whatever he wants, to act like a king. I'm sure Trump revels in that power, which is why we have all of these checks and balances in the first place, which is why he is not allowed to do these things in the first place. That is so much power. It is causing so much damage, and it's all grabbed illegally. And today a court said no. So the argument that the government was making here was that the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, was giving him the authority to unilaterally slap all these tariffs on, stating that we are somehow in a state of emergency. And the plaintiffs who brought these lawsuits said, no, that's not correct. So according to the Associated Press, the plaintiffs who brought those lawsuits were basically claiming two things. One is that the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act did not authorize Trump to slap on those tariffs in the first place. And the second one is that even if it did, like let's concede for a moment that, okay, he could claim that that act gave him the authority to put these tariffs on. They're saying even if it did say that, which they contend it doesn't, that the trade deficit does not meet the law's requirement of an emergency that would trigger what is written in the law as, listen, quote, an unusual and extraordinary threat, end quote. Because keep in mind, the United States has run a trade deficit with the rest of the world for 49 consecutive years. Why would it be suddenly this year that it amounts to an unusual and extraordinary threat? So because Trump hates the fact that the courts are standing on the side of the law and are checking his authoritarian overreach, which is, by the way, of course, why Trump and the Republicans have snuck in this line in his big, beautiful budget reconciliation bill. This line that says, no court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order. They're basically trying to hamstring judges from enforcing their orders because Trump knows he's losing. His cronies are losing in court. And all he can try and do is illegally and embarrassingly, obviously, I know they thought they were going to sneak that in, hinder the courts from doing their job. They can't win by following the law. His grasp on power is weak, y'all. So he has to try shady shit like this. And of course, the Republicans in Congress are helping. Anyway, okay, back to this ruling. Because Trump hates the fact that the courts are overwhelmingly checking his overreach, the administration has argued that the courts approved then President Richard Nixon's emergency use of tariffs back in 1971. And what Trump is saying is that now only Congress and not the courts can determine the political question of whether the president's rationale for declaring an emergency complies with the law. He's basically saying that the courts can't rule on whether something is in compliance with the law, because what they're going to do is rule against him. They're going to rule that what he's doing is not in compliance with the law. So therefore, they can't rule. They can't rule at all. So this is a really big win for democracy, and we'll see where it goes from here. If Trump no longer has this chaotic tool in his toolbox with which to hold threats over people's heads, with which to coerce corporations, with which to simultaneously shake down corporations and also like extend them favors, like, hey, if you do what I want, I will lift tariffs on, your specific thing that you care about, because after all, it's all about the grift. If he doesn't have that tool in his toolbox, I guarantee he's going to have a temper tantrum over it. He does not like being told no. He does not like being constrained. I expect we may see some bout of narcissistic rage and attempt at retribution as a result of this. But it doesn't matter. We still need to all be doing the right thing. The courts need to be ruling on the side of the law, whether or not we anticipate Trump upping his repression, upping his antics as a result of being told no, absolutely not. So this is good news. I was glad to see this as a breaking story, and now I'm going to get back to hunting for the article I was searching for.